Good day. Good day and gratitude, family. This is Face the Nation with Bolden Unchained, and we are back with another reading of our heroes again, our heroes and our sheroes. This is Bolden Unchained. We are here to assist Black America and Black media with the uncovering of the many agendas, the many projects, the many events, acts, laws, bills, compromises, all them sabotages, them setups that's been against Black America for so long. We're here to help Black America. In case y'all don't know, we're in another awakening. Black America is in another awakening. The first awakening happened. Oh, let me get the disclaimers out the way. Copyright disclaimer. Let me just turn it around and read it to you. Copyright disclaimer 107 of Copyright Act 1976 allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Federal use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Our first awakening, Black America, is right here. We just finished reading our first awakening that we went through. We didn't learn anything during our first, from our first awakening. We didn't. Our ancestors did. They told us. We didn't listen. But some of us still alive and stuff and remember things that happened in our lifetimes. Directly related to, almost identical to the atrocities that our ancestors of these times experienced. 1896, 1906, 1919, But these massacres, these race riots, as they call them, which are really massacres, these massacres happened on up to when? 1936. I remember a massacre of one of the places, 1947, 43. We know of Tulsa, 1921. But these massacres, although they weren't as frequent like they were here, they're still in our midst. They are still prone to happen. I was listening to a documentary a few moments ago, and it actually shined the light on the very first riots and burning down of the neighborhoods and communities and stuff, as this right here, because that's where it was. This is where it began. I believe they were talking in reference to George Floyd. And, the destructions and the fires and, the vandalism and stuff. And that documentary was saying, hold up, wait a minute. Don't act like this is the first time, communities have been destroyed. And so, but I wanted to at least begin with the hurt from all of these atrocities. Bolden Unchained is here to help Black America heal. Bolden Unchained is here to help Black America reconcile with each other and forgive each other. We are not here to coddle, to excuse, white America's benefits, directly or indirectly, of what's happened. I know it's a very touching subject. I know this. We all know it. That's why we fight so hard to motherfucking forget. We fight so hard so that white people don't have to think about it. Don't you worry about it. That your great-great-great-granddaddy was the one, and your great-grandmama was the ones that perpetrated I mean, can we even imagine the lynching that had 50,000 white folks came from everywhere? That lynching, 50,000 white folks drooling. Everybody just want to come by and just snip off a little piece of meat. Of course, you know the first ones through gonna take a whole ear, a finger, a thumb. You know, they've just nicking pieces off of the body to take home with them as souvenirs. 50,000 people. Imagine that one lynching that had 100,000 people. No, I got to let this one down. That one lynching that had 100,000 people. White people, kids, babies, pregnant women, old women, young girls. Where's all these people at? Where did all this hatred go? Because we are aware that when Louisville, this is our reading here from Midnight with the Ancestors, when Louisville decided, oh, we done did too much, we done shown too much of our cannibalistic nature. Now we got to clean up Louisville. We got to clean up the state of Kentucky. No more outrageous lynchings. Oh, white people was pissed. Oh, you mean to tell us we can't decimate the black bodies no more? You mean you trying to tell us that we can't hunt them down, drag them through town on the back of our pickup truck? You trying to tell us that we can't hang black people from trees no more and then shoot 200 bullets in him and then put him on top of the fire and roast him? Is that what you trying to tell us, white America? White people didn't like it. I can only imagine how long did it take them to decide, okay, we're going to stop just lynching black bodies. How long did it take? But then they said, but you got to lynch them. If they commit a crime, you got to convict them as guilty, and you got to lynch them immediately. Immediately. That's the only way we're going to clean this up. That's the only way we're going to stop. Because, see, it's a greed. So the every county did it. Eventually they did it. They cleaned up the state of Kentucky and all the other states that helped it. All the other states that were the same way, they followed suit. They all cleaned their act up. Yeah, it used to be black people be walking home with their mural and stuff. Like George Stinney. You know, he was walking home with his family mural. And they said that he killed them two little white girls. A little bit of George. One big as nothing. Overpowered two little white girls. They ran his family out of town and lynched that baby. Put that baby on he was the youngest person electrocuted. I think he was 14, 9 or something. We're going to have to look it up with George Stinney. I just thought about him thinking about black people walking home from wherever, you know, and they soon just see a black person hanging in a tree. Lynched. We've been through so much. We've survived so much. And it's that knowledge of our survival, our perseverance, our loyalty to each other that we must regain. Because see, what happened was when white America decided to clean up, they projected all of that on us. See, that left only us with our unhappiness, our feelings of, hold on, let me go check on my neighbor. I am next door, right? Oh, I apologize for that. I just had to go see. Is you all right? I don't know if y'all heard all of that, but we are a caring, sympathetic people. I'm just right next door. And truth be told, I done had a neighbor over here pass away and a neighbor right there pass away. So yeah, just get out and know who your neighbors is. But anyway, what white America did was, once they decided to shift and clean up they setup, they outfit, you know they only did that for show, right? You know, when white people decided to clean up their act publicly, you know they got worse, right? All right, let's just, okay. But anyway, what we wanted to make sure we understood that. Because it's still happening right today. But what happened was they shifted. All of a sudden, they became seemingly kind, generous, empathetic, helpful, considerate, thoughtful, non-violent, non-threatening. And they began this narrative. Because, see, they knew, by this point right here, they already knew, yeah, we fucking their mind up. Yeah, we fucking their mind up. And so they decided, well, all the crime they finna commit, because they made sure that even though black people did commit crimes against white America, against white people, we don't have a history of crimes against white America like their crimes against us. Crime exists because this is life. But you see the difference is there. But they knew that black people would turn on black people. They knew they had broken us so much that a majority, most of our crimes would be targeted towards our own people. So what they said was, okay, we're going to let the law have it. We're going to let the law settle it. But they kill somebody white, we want them hung. We want them hung immediately. Or we're going to take matters in our own hands. That was one of the stipulations that really mattered. You know, now when a black person killed a black person, they probably was a little less, riled up, but they still wanted that black body because they still like, oh, we with the law now. You broke the law, and that's the most heinous crime. See, the whole thing is a big setup. It's so diabolical. I mean, black people, it's a wonder we even got our sanity. I am telling you the truth. It's a wonder black America is sane at all. Yep. Honey, I'm telling you. I know it's other peoples in the world. And other peoples in the world need to get out and they need to speak for their peoples. Because I'm speaking for mine. And I say, in my opinion, just mine, Black America, it's time for us to get the hell away from white America, white mindset, white education, white diet, white medical treatments. because we ain't gonna never know who we are because they too busy putting all of their shit on us, making us them and them us. And our youth don't know so much. How long is it gonna take before we're actually switched? A couple decades, a couple centuries, some more generations. Oh, I don't know, y'all, because all this right here, like this, the transgender thing. Is Trump finna tell everybody to stop that bullshit? Now, didn't I just say it's gonna come a day, might be a few years from now, might be another decade or two, another 22 years, but everybody gonna decide all of a sudden, we ain't gay no more, we ain't bisexual no more. Black people gonna be the only one. Hey, I'm just saying, if you really that way, if that's really your lifestyle and you, then this ain't about you. Because see, y'all, in my opinion, y'all should have stood up and told all these young people, hey, look at here. Y'all asses is really not this. A lot of y'all, a whole lot of them, is just faking the funk, going along with the agenda. And you know how you can tell, because everybody want to come out about it. Everybody want to tell. Like they literally want to drag you in their bedroom. So you can literally see, know, smell, taste, touch, whatever you going to do. But tell me this, is Trump finna tell everybody to cut that shit out? And black people finna be the only ones still, pastor still saying you can't come in this church with your heels on. Boy, you got to take that makeup and stuff out. I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. But I want Black America to know you, we, me, need to be having black babies. We need to be having black babies if we are worthy. If you know, if the cosmos deem us that we can bring a life into this world, then we should and we must. Because we need to live on. You see what I'm saying? We need to live on. Black America needs to live on. And we need to live on righteously. You know. Because us becoming like this with our own people, with any people, that's not who we are. That's not who black people are at all. Now, I'll grant you, I'll admit, yeah, we got a whole lot of weak links. Yes, we do. And they're getting weaker. They're getting weaker. That's why Bolden Unchained is here. Because we ain't weak. We ain't weak at all. Sure ain't. We might have been blinded. You know, we might have looked at things and went somewhere with others, with society, with the trends, with the fashions. But eventually, Bolden Unchained. It's very important that we learn about this. Even more so than this. How are we supposed to ever get back to our greatness? Y'all talking about make America great again. You forgot about the greatness. You forgot about your greatness. Talking about make America great again for the white man, I guess. Just tell who it's going to be great for. Why y'all got to act like make America great again for us, for everybody? It wasn't great for black people. Black people was great for black people. It don't make no sense to me. All I can think of is Black America. If we more afraid of our power Or are we more afraid of white people? Alleged power. I mean, why? Why we gotta lay down? That's a whole planet. This is a whole plane. Everybody riding. Everybody riding. But tell me, how come black people laying down on the floor? People got their feet propped up on them and stuff, just reclining. But everybody riding on this plane, on this planet. And you okay with it. It's all right with you. Hell, you can't even see where the hell the ride going because you're down like this. Somebody got their foot on your head. Somebody got their foot on your... Black America. I know I thank my ancestors. Yes, I thank my ancestors. Gratitude. Gratitude to my ancestors. Because I know whose side I'm on. So, well, I know whose side I'm on, honey. But a lot of us don't. A lot of us know whose side we on, but we're afraid to say it. We're afraid to voice it. Do like we do Jesus. Go all out. Why can't you go all out for Jesus and the ancestors? Because when I read about Simeon Toko, I said he gonna come back and kick everybody's ass anyway. Sure will. Simeon Toko was Black Jesus. He was a Black Jesus. And I say that because he said there's many like him. And they coming back. He said he coming back. They coming back. He was in the Congo. I believe that Jesus is the sun in the sky. The sun in the sky is Jesus. He's walking on water every day. Because Simeon Toko was a man just like you are a man. And I am a womb man. Yeah. And the government hated him. Ooh, the government hated that man, Simeon Toko. It's another man, too. His name is similar to him. I've only seen it a couple of times. But the man had extraordinary gifts and talents. I'm not going to say powers. I'm going to say gifts and talents. They very well could be powers, because now that I remember, one of the stories was that they kidnapped him and put him on a helicopter. They killed him, tried to kill him. He came back to life. Simeon Toko, look it up. You believe Jesus walked on water? At least believe that your black brother, who was in his supreme being and mindset, was still connected to the ethers. It's a very few. See, that's why they say the chosen. Everybody ain't chosen. Now imagine out of the chosen, was that 144,000? Out of them chosen ones right there, a select few of them have very powerful insights that the bulk out here don't have. Then out of those, it's a very select few who have very infinite powers that are so synced and subtle that they seem to be like magic. It's the law, I want to say the law of attraction. I seen it the other day, and I think that's what it is, the law of acceptance. I think that's what it was. And to me, that's just accepting. that yes, we are great. Yes, we are phenomenal. Yes, we survived. We are perseverances. We persevered. We survived. We didn't die. We were tricked. We were indoctrinated, brainwashed. We have to see our greatness. And we are greatness. We are our greatness. Talking about looking at make America great again. Make America great again. For who? America was never great for us. Black people. And only black people is great for black people. Because I got to tell you, Black America, this right here the last chance. I don't know who think they finna reason with the new world, the robots, the autonomous cars. Hell, how you gonna even get out of it? Ain't even nobody driving it. The new world order. See, this never went away. This never went away. This racial violence, this didn't go away. It just shifted. It became something else. And we were sold an illusion just to be included, to dress, speak, get the education, entertainment, just to fit in. When we had everything right here. We had it all right here. Our heroes, our sheroes. We had our own everything. I think during that boycott, that bus boycott in Alabama, honey, them white folks seen black people walking in the rain. They see black people walking in the rain, walking in the snow, in the burning heat. And they also seen black people carpooling, helping each other get to, where we were going to and stuff, work, school, what have you. And the white folk like, oh shit. Well, we got to let them on the bus. We got to let them on the bus. The same way with everything. That's how it happened, in my opinion, with Tulsa, Oklahoma. Who was that? They saying a white woman said a white woman was assaulted or killed or something on the elevator. Dick Rowland, I think that was in Tulsa. It was in one of the massacres. That was the excuse. Because remember, white women being raped and assaulted, killed by a black man, that was the sickle. Oh, I always wanted to do that. You know how they whistle and stuff? That was the sickle. So with Tulsa, with all of the riots, that was the excuse. A white woman was assaulted, murdered, she lied. Whatever the case. See, that was the sickle for white America to raise up and then unleash all that hell. Unleash it all. Yep. Even if the black man in question was innocent. If they couldn't get him, they go get some other blacks. Innocent black people just walking home from work, leaving church, visiting their wife at the hospital, at the doctor, whatever, leaving anything. They could be doing anything, leaving the store. Black America, we can't imagine. All that our ancestors endured. This is all we need right here. This is all we need. Pick this up for them babies. We got to say this right here for us. Our asses need this. But we got to learn about our heroes too. Yeah, we need to learn about our heroes too. And that's what we're doing. That's why Bolden Unchained is here. I don't know why you here. Because, honey, if this ain't for you, if it ain't resonating, then go listen to somebody else. Because I'm going to tell y'all this. It's so many channels talking about black people, black America. You ain't going to see them on white media. mainstream media, they've been lying. Let me slip and say this right here too. Mainstream media been lying since these days, because it was the newspapers that was telling white America that it was finna be a lynching soon as they catch Dick Rowland, soon as they catch John Hartfield. They put the slave name out there and everything, knowing that it didn't even have to be him. So even today, white media ain't got nothing for black people. Y'all asses better get up and go find you some black media. And do know that some of the black medias is owned by white medias. But get your knowledge how you can, because when you do, your ancestors got your mission that now they can lay out for you, for your people, for your people. This is it. This is the last reasoning, because it won't be no reasoning in the New World Order. It won't be no let me go. Robots don't look, they don't emotionalize. They're not gonna understand and know, oh, she crying, and release you. The autonomous car you done got in, not gonna, oh, she panicking, open the door. This whole New World Order that's coming up, see, it's gonna make sure that your ass never get away. You ain't gonna never get out. All of this is anti-life. In white America, y'all some fools. Y'all some motherfucking fools. Y'all done sold out y'all self. White America knew black America been sincere this whole time. This whole time. Y'all knew black America was sincere. We didn't have any payback. We were sincere with y'all. We gave y'all all our trust. Let you right on in the house, in the bed, in the business. All y'all at the cookout. And all along, everybody been stealing, taking, what's that word, usurping, commandeering, just taking everything from black people and stuff, in the hopes that eventually we'll exterminate their asses. Eventually we'll get rid of black people. But see, that ain't for nobody to decide but the cosmos. And see, the cosmos manifested the Big Bang Theory. In my opinion, the cosmos manifested as the black man, the black woman who gives birth through the portal to the black children. So that's God, Goddess, and Godwin. All of this other stuff that we were supposed to learn and let it make us into white folks, because that's basically what it is. This whole mindset, Western life. I wish I had them wrote down, because Neely Fuller said that every area of life, it was 9. Let's see if we can remember. I don't. Education, law, labor, sex, entertainment, religion. Let's see, it's 3 more. White supremacy, control all of them. White supremacy in on all of them. Yank up, got it all. It just seemed to me like, everything that's done happened, and now we at, the point of no return. You would at least think that other societies would at least have some sincere empathy for black people. Societies would at least want us to be able to maintain in the New World Order. Everybody know about it. for all the love, for all the motherfucking love. Yeah, they sacrificing they few numbers out here. Because you see homeless here and homeless there, everybody, you know. But on the whole scope, they ask to sacrifice 10,000 hell of their own. Why not? The end goal is get rid of black people. Exterminate black people. Genocide black people. But I just, like that one video was saying, and it really hurt the brother because he didn't think that firefighters left in the 60s, left black babies in them fires. And it hurt him so bad to think that little old white man, why tell me that bullshit? And he didn't think that, he knew that police and, judges and lawyers did that bullshit. But to actually leave a baby in a fire, it's surreal, but it's very real. It's our reality. It happened. And those that don't know their history, it's bound to happen again. So, this is our last time, Black America. It's very well our last chance. That's why we see so much of nature. That's why we see so much of nature. And, natural disasters and stuff. Although they are manipulating the weather. Now, I do believe that with that heart machine. And, but cosmic energy is still up there. Yeah, they trying to block out the sun. Oh, honey, they making tokamaks. Or is it tokamaks, I think. Big old huge things. Block out the sun. Yeah, all kind of crazy shit going on. Because don't nobody want Black America to succeed, to know who you is, to see nothing, to think nothing. You supposed to still been a slave. Black America supposed to still been a slave. Over the planet and stuff. Black people still struggling. So I hear some folks say this the best right here in America. Said, don't you go out of this country nowhere else unless you prepared and ready. And these motherfuckers over here, shit, hell, they trying to take us back to slavery. A new slavery. We already done lost our mind. Look at our masses. Everybody just running off the cliff. Ain't nobody stood up, turned around, said, "Oh, wait, stop. Where we going? What's up there?" Trying to fit in with white America. That's because we forgot about our own people. Everybody remember their own and love their own and celebrate their own people openly. Every day. All day. You can see it when you see them. When you look past all the blackness that they done stole. Everybody want to be black. Yeah. It just made me wonder, the theft of melanin. Woo, honey. When it was so simple, and then we're going to get to our story here. It was so simple. Because really all they had to say was, hey, we want to live. We want to live a long time. We want to be able to go in the sun. We want to enjoy nature. And we want nature to enjoy us. And we want to love nature. And we want nature to love us. And can y'all teach us? Black people would have did it. Black America, we would have went out our way to ensure that white America was loved by the sun in the sky, We would have did it. Yes, we would. They call us the children of the sun. Well, they used to, till they start making us forget, you know. Yeah. You see the movie Blade? Remember that? I only liked the part one, so I don't know about the other parts. But we would have been able to help white people be like him, where they could go out in the sun. It won't hurt them. But they didn't do that. They lied to us. They made us think. They manipulated us. They made us think, oh, we finna integrate. We finna mingle. We finna marry. We finna build businesses. We finna come to the cookout. Teach us how to braid our hair like y'all's. You know, and we gonna do the squats, get the big butt, the big lips. We finna be like y'all. And please, be like us. Here, put on this weave and these lashes and these long, long nails, you know. And in my opinion, we switching so much. I'm beginning to wonder, when is they going to actually say black people is white now? Europeans now. Oh, and did you know I did see something far, far left that said because black attracts everything, black is the light. But you know, yeah, I don't want to confuse us, because I don't want to confuse me, honey, because we will be here. I'm telling you. But yeah, we need to remember us. Why not? It's the best thing we got going for us ever. Then and now. This the only great thing that's great for black people is black people. I don't care what kind of pillow you laying on, what your lap of luxury looking like, how many houses you got, how many cars you got, because here you can't drive but one at one time. You know, they all gonna break down. Black America, it's time to wake up and look at us, honey, because all of that bullshit out there, them robots finna come. Them robots is finna come now. The whole new world order. Yep. And we step into that new world order and we ain't got none of this. We don't have none of this. Can you imagine? Ooh-wee. So that's what, that's what this whole agenda is taking us to some places we ain't never been before. Our ancestors ain't never, they ain't never just gave us up like that. The way they fought for each other, they fought for us, thinking about us. And to be so afraid, to be so afraid to just talk about our people, be happy, about our people, our soldiers, our scientists, our inventors, our teachers, But we so scared because we motherfucking broke. We so hurt. We scared. We terrified that white people gonna get mad. And white America need to be looking for the John Brown in them. Because white America the only one that can stop their evil, that they can do something with that evil spine they got. Just evil. I'm glad y'all refraining from it. Please do. Because I know how y'all asses can get. Don't think that, it's that. Because it ain't, honey. It's this. It's this, baby. It's this, honey. I know how y'all ass can get. And for whoever that lady was, talking about super predators and savages, because since they flipped all of this, Kentucky gonna be, we gotta save our good name. We gotta clean it up now. So all of a sudden, Black America is the savage. Who was his name? Petey Green. Now they say Black America is the savage. Black America is the miscreant. Black America incorrigible. But now, honey, that's because shit, we ain't never had no healing. We ain't never been able to get away from y'all asses. Black America ain't never been able to get away from white America. I don't care how much money you got. Just because you a famous singer now. You on TV now. You got riches and wealth now. Ain't none of us been able to get no healing or no hideaway. Not from this. Sure ain't. I don't care what is dressed up as. All the name brands. All the glitter. The gold it look like. And y'all asses forget. Take that shit off and this what you got. This what you left with. Oh, all the little babies. The little babies. Oh. Because we can't trust like that. And we don't trust white America like that. So find it in yourself to let, hey, whose side is you on? I mean, hell, shit, be as gentle as you need to be with you. But you better decide whose side you on, Black America. Shit, hell, ooh, wee. Hell, at first they were pushing black people off the cliff. Honey, now black people just running and jumping. What the fuck? Because don't nobody but a very select few want to tell it that Black America is motherfucking sick, tired, and ready to get the fuck away from white America. We don't want to do no more than work with our asses if we got to. If we got to. Because see, our sanity been at stake. Y'all done just wrung our mind out. Just done wrung it out. I ain't even got nothing to wring out and show you. But you know what I'm talking about. Hey, it didn't take me. I didn't go the long way around to get here and tell us lies. Racial reconciliation. So, like the pastor was saying, the Bible as our text for racial reconciliation. So we reconcile with this racial reconciliation. Is that going to be this too? Or we just going to forget about this? I don't know, but I know somebody need to, everybody need to tell Black America. Everybody, tell Black America. You too. And you tell Black America. Round three. So let's see right here. We are going to start today because, we've been reading it. I've been thinking about Charles Nails. Remember Charles Nails? And Harriet Tubman came through and rescued him. And white people kept kidnapping him back. And black people kept getting him back. And Harriet came through there, honey. Black people were kicking in doors and windows. They were trying to buy him back, but the master wanted him back. Woo-wee, honey. I just keep thinking about that. But I be trying to wait till 12 o'clock so we can, stay on our schedule. We got to stay on our schedule. We're going to grow. We're going to add more content. We're going to have a children's channel. Nothing serious and deep like this here. Because I know this right here going to traumatize some of y'all. Because this show traumatizing my ass. Now I know why. I sure do. I know why. Everybody's so peaceful and calm and generous. And we love black people and your music and stuff. Everybody out. Ain't nobody doing the two-step no more. Hell, Beyonce done moved over to the countryside, even though we know black people invented everything. But you see the theft of melanin under even that. It's so subtle. The shift is so subtle If you don't know about something, the good, the bad, or the ugly, you might not feel nothing. So yeah, Black America, this second awakening right here very well might be our last. Yeah, this is an awesome book right here. Yeah. Brave Black soldiers of the Civil War. When President Abraham Lincoln issued a call for the 75,000 troops for the Civil War, African Americans from Boston to Philadelphia to Detroit to Cleveland began preparing the answer to call. Finally, because see, the North and the South was at odds with each other. Because the North was like, we ain't got enough people to win this war. And the South was like, we got enough people to win this war because the South had the slaves too. So they was telling the black abolitionists was telling the president, free the slaves down South so they can join the war. And then we'll have enough troops in this war. Because at first he didn't want to do it and stuff. So he finally did it. And the slaves all joined the war to end slavery. And then don't you know white folks, honey? Still, then they held on to them slaves. Some plantation owners held on to their slaves for like a year, 5 years. I seen a video a few months ago. A lady claimed they was, I believe her too, said that her and her family was still slaves in one of them little hick towns somewhere in like the 60s and 70s. It wasn't very long ago. But yeah, because they were so indoctrinated and manipulated, you know, and they found that they self in that situation still. But I guess everybody else thought they left too. Everybody else thought they got out. You know, because they did start re-enslaving some people, I'm sure. I don't know. It's so deep, y'all. We just got to get in it. Like Vernon John said, if you see a good fight, get in it. So finally, they let the troops, the slaves, join the war. So the soldiers for the Civil War. African Americans from Boston to Philadelphia to Detroit to Cleveland began preparing to answer the call. Little did they know that the War Department had no intentions of employing black troops. For nearly 2 years, blacks waited anxiously for the chance to serve their country. It was only until the North began to lose hope of winning the war that black troops were considered. So they just off to the side, like they asking when, without us. Now, see, the Civil War wasn't because of us, but it was about us. We didn't cause the Civil War, but it was about us. And we wanted our freedom. So when they realized that they were going to lose and stuff, that's when, oh, yeah, go ahead, all out. That's how it seemed to me. And if it don't seem like it ain't got no sugar on it, then it don't. So on September the 22nd, 1862, President Lincoln issued the first Emancipation Proclamation. How many was it? What do it mean, issued the first Emancipation Proclamation? Was it a time limit on slavery? I'm just asking. The proclamation declared that all slaves in the Confederate States in rebellion to the in Confederate States in rebellion to the Union would be set free if the Confederate States would not come back to the Union. Okay, the proclamation declared that all slaves in the Confederate States in rebellion to the Union would be set free if the Confederate States would not come back to the Union. So in other words, if the Confederate States did come back to the Union, the slaves wouldn't have been set free. But see, the Confederate States didn't go back to the Union and stuff because they would have had to regulate and they would have lost all the props that the slaves brought for them. The Confederate States paid little attention to the proclamation because they said, hell no, we left for a reason. You ain't finna strip us from our slaves. Yep, they said we finna get every penny and profit from our slaves. So, we read in the other chapter, they all left and joined their own Confederate states. So they weren't trying to hear that shit. Yep, the South was. They were like, no, these is our slaves. We ain't finna regulate nothing. We ain't finna half-step nothing. It's our slaves or nothing. So the president didn't have no choice but to free the slaves. That's why he said, if I didn't have to, I won't free the slaves. Because it gave that little window for white people to come back to the Union. Then they could have kept their slaves. Is that why? It seemed like it to me. It sure do. On January the 1st, 1863, the final Emancipation Proclamation was issued. And there it is again. We got the first and the final. Is it one in the middle? It granted freedom to all slaves in those states rebellious to the Union. The Emancipation also gave the government the authority to recruit black troops for the Union. 5 days after the first Emancipation Proclamation was issued, the first black regiment entered the war to fight for the Union. 2 other regiments entered the war in October and November of 1862. All 3 units were from Louisiana. They were formed by free blacks to fight against the Union. But when the Union soldiers captured New Orleans, these regiments switched sides and began fighting for the Union. When the final emancipation was issued in January of 1863, 2 more black regiments entered the war. They were the first colored volunteers from Kansas and the first South Carolina volunteers. Because I'm really thinking about this that we just read right here now. But I go all the way around and stuff, so we go keep going and stuff. Because this video here end up being 3 hours long. They were the first colored volunteers from Kansas and the first South Carolina volunteers. Both of these regiments were composed of former slaves. The South Carolina volunteers took part in a coastal raid in November of 1862. They freed 155 slaves, killed 9 Confederates, and took 3 prisoners. Only 4 black soldiers were wounded, and none was killed. These blacks were highly praised for their bravery by their commanding officer. They were brave. See, they waited till they can say, we are men, and we'll fight for our freedom. Over 1 million blacks fled the Confederacy and joined the Union Army. When the Union came near enough for them to escape, that's when they joined. That's when they escaped. They served the Union Army. Let me read this again now. Over 1 million blacks fled the Confederacy and joined the Union Army when the Union came near enough for them to escape. Oh, okay. So the blacks was in the Confederacy and they really couldn't go nowhere. But when the Union got close enough, then they could. Because see, when the Union is here and they on their way to them, it's too much risk. They being hunted and targeted. So when the Union got close enough to them, that's when they fled and joined the Union. Okay, I think I got it now. They served the Union Army as laborers and spies. Because they knew everything. They were very observant. More than 200,000 blacks from the North and the South enrolled in the Union Army and Navy. Of the 186,000 black soldiers in the Union Army, 133,000 had been slaves in the southern states. 133,000 had been slaves in the southern states. Now that 53,000 was from the North, I believe. The first regiments of free blacks in the North were the 54th and 55th Massachusetts. See, all of these right here, we can look up each one of these, and it's a whole new story. It's a whole new hero. Yes, it is. And we're going to do it too. Because see, all these books right here, we will be repetitiously learning. See, to relearn, we must unlearn. So yeah, we got a lot of learning and healing to do. 30,000 blacks served in the Union Navy. Black sailors served along the white sailors on an equal basis. This was not the case in the Union Army. Black soldiers in the Union Army were not treated fairly by the government. White soldiers was paid $10 a month and $3.50 for food and clothing. Blacks received only $7 a month. See that insincerity? See, right there from the very beginning. From the very beginning. And they knew the only way to win this war is to get black people over here. And that's what we see today. Still, no sincerity whatsoever. Not for Black America. $3 was taken out of their check for food and clothing. Black soldiers received less training than white soldiers. Black troops had to serve longer terms than white troops. They had no chance of advancement. Black troops worked with poor equipment and had low quality food. So see, when has America ever been great for black people? They motherfucking answers no firsthand. If we don't get black people over here, we ain't even gonna win this war. But then when they get them over there and still treat them like they have no worth, still got to perpetuate that the white man deserves the best, the thickest, the warmest, the plushest. So no, I said it ain't finna be no racial reconciliation until Black America and white America address all of this. All of this. And then I seen the other day that Trump, remember when all them statues was taken down and they were renamed? And they were renamed after black heroes and sheroes. And now Trump, one of them was Fort Bragg or something other, and Trump wanna take down the names and put the old names back up. So I see, as much as Black America wants to reconcile with white America ain't sincere to reconcile with. White America still don't want to see black people being able to have, if you do, put your money where your vote is and go tell your peoples to cut that check. We ain't got very long before we see little San Diego rolling down the street, or however these robots is finna get from one place to the other. But go tell your peoples to cut that check for Black America. Yep. Because it ain't never been no sincerity. Despite all of the problems that black soldiers faced during the war, they proved themselves to be highly capable and courageous in battle, even though y'all ain't gave us shit to work with. On 500 battlefields, from Mississippi to Virginia, they fought with the worst equipment, little to nothing food, threadbare shoes and socks. White America, you shit my ass. When Secretary of War Edwin Stanton made a report to President Lincoln about the war, He stated that the Black soldiers have proved themselves among the bravest of the brave, performing daring deeds and shedding their blood with a heroism unsurpassed by soldiers of any race. The Union had finally realized that Black soldiers could fight and that many were willing to give their lives to defend their country. Throughout the war, Blacks distinguished themselves as brave and courageous soldiers. Our Black men, a Black woman raised those men. Y'all want to sit up here and what white America wants, what white America needs. Who wants something? Who always wants something for Black people? What was that, James Clyburn? Yeah, from a couple of videos I seen, it looked like a war is on the cusp anyway. Yeah. From what I seen, I'll be looking at some Black media. And honey, it look like it might be a war coming around soon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but right here, we already at war in our backyard anyway. We trying to fight this war, and I'm like, shit, we ain't even done nothing. Who is all that out there? They done got us involved with and stuff. But I know one thing, Black America got to care about Black America. Yes, we do. We got to keep our focus on Black America. First and final. Anything in between, we ain't trying to hurt it. We is not trying to hurt nothing in between. But our first and final concern is Black America, the welfare and sanity of Black America. Let's not get it twisted now. We'll give anybody an apple. We'll give anybody a coat, some socks to put on, some shelter. We ain't trying to hurt nobody. No, we never have. We ain't never tried to hurt nobody. We've been fucked up. Mm-hmm. Yep. But look at this right here. Black Medal of Honor winners. One of the first ideas for giving a medal to brave soldiers came from George Washington. In 1782, he issued an order that any soldier who showed outstanding bravery should be permitted to wear on his left breast the figure of a heart made of purple cloth. The Purple Heart. Oh, I ain't never seen one. Oh, this was the beginning of the Purple Heart Medal. Only 3 Purple Hearts were awarded. Then the idea was dropped. Then Napoleon Bonaparte, Bonaparte, the French ruler, wanted something that would give soldiers the urge to fight bravely until death. He was the ruler who wanted to conquer all Europe. He knew that he needed soldiers who were as brave as could be. So he came up with an idea of an award for soldiers that would face the most disastrous situations and not give up. He would give them an award called the Legion of Honor. Let me underline this so we can see who the 3 Purple Hearts went to. Only 3 Purple Hearts were awarded. Well, we want to see who they went to. Soon other countries wanted to give awards to their brave soldiers too. In England, soldiers were given the Victoria Cross. Brave German soldiers were awarded the Iron Cross. Russians awarded the Cross of St. George to its brave soldiers. The United States had no symbol or award to give brave men who gave their lives to defend their country. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some bullshit? Black men won them 3 awards. Them 3 Purple Hearts. So America decided we ain't gonna do Purple Hearts no more. We ain't gonna give no award for bravery no more. But the idea was so wonderful, other countries decided to award medals to their brave soldiers. Everybody started doing it. So now, I guess America must have started back again. Let's see. I don't even gamble, but I bet you it were 3 black men. The United States had no symbol or award to give brave men who gave their lives to defend their country. 3 Purple Hearts and 6 special medals were awarded during the Revolutionary War. Besides these medals, no others were given in any early wars. Many brave soldiers who had fought in these wars was not recognized. Most people felt that since Europe was giving medals, Americans should not give medals because it would seem that the United States would be copying their idea. But the ideal came from George Washington. Well, I guess he forfeited the right. The United States forfeited the right when they stopped doing it after them 3 Purple Hearts was awarded. In 1862, 1 year after the Civil War began, Congress felt that America's soldiers should have something to show for their brave action. So Congress passed 2 bills creating medals of honor, one for the Army and one for the Navy. The U.S. Medal of Honor is not given for ordinary bravery. All soldiers are ordinarily brave. You got to be brave to even go join a war. You got to be brave to even go enlist. The boot camp, I imagine. You got to be brave to even go through the boot camp. So, all soldiers are brave. And respect soldiers. Respect them. It is given to the bravest of the brave soldiers, one who goes over and beyond the call of duty. Other medals for bravery include the Distinguished Service Cross, the Distinguished Service Medal, and the Purple Heart. The Medal of Honor is the highest award given to members of the armed forces. It is not pinned to the chest as the other medals are. It is worn around the neck on a blue ribbon with stars. And that's the Medal of Honor. The other medals are worn on the chest right there, but this right here is worn on a ribbon. Few medal winners ever wear the medal. They usually wear little cloth bars or cloth rosettes to show that they are medal winners. During the Civil War, 23 black soldiers were awarded the Medal of Honor for bravery. During the Civil War, 23 black soldiers was awarded the Medal of Honor for bravery. And you remember the Medal of Honor is the highest award. Yeah. Sergeant William Carney, Carney, was the first black man to win the Medal of Honor. Other black Army soldiers who won Medals of Honor were Private William Barnes, First Sergeant James Bronson, First Sergeant Powhatan Beatty, Powhatan Beaty, Sergeant Decatur Dorsey, Sergeant Major Christian A. Fleetwood, Private James Gardiner, Sergeant James Harris, Sergeant Major Thomas Hawkins, Sergeant Alfred Hilton, Sergeant Major Milton Holland, Corporal Miles James, First Sergeant Alexander Kelly, First Sergeant Robert Penn, First Sergeant Edward Ratcliffe, and Private Charles Veal. That's them. The 23 black soldiers who was awarded the Medal of Honor. Yeah. Navy Medal of Honor winners were Aaron Anderson, Robert Blake, William Brown, Wilson Brown, James Mifflin, Joachim Pease, that's Joachin Pease, and John Lawson. Wow. We still should find out who the 3 soldiers was that got them Purple Hearts. Ooh, the Robert Smalls story. Have you ever been made to do something that you did not want to do, but found out later that you was glad you had done it? Such was the case with Robert Smalls. He was born a slave in Beaufort, South Carolina in 1839. He became an expert pilot on boats in and around Charleston, North Carolina harbor. The Charleston, North Carolina harbor. During the Civil War, he was forced to pilot a warship for the Confederacy called the Planter. So see, he was forced to pilot that warship for the Confederacy. And he didn't want to do it, but it must have came in handy. Robert Smalls was a 23-year-old slave. He was young. He couldn't read or write, but he became an expert in piloting the Planter. See, they made him do it. He didn't want to be on them racist people's side. He probably wanted to be over with the Union. But, they made him be the pilot for, the Planter. So he did it. I can only imagine. To those around him, Smalls appeared to be just another hard-working slave. No one had any idea of his planned escape using the Planter. One morning in May of 1862, Robert Smalls used his knowledge to pilot himself and several other Black Americans to freedom. Yes, he did. That morning, Smalls had dressed himself as the captain of the ship. He steered it out of the Confederate territory to the Union. No one became suspicious at first because the Planter had been scheduled to leave early that morning anyway. The 20-man team of guards they saw the ship pull out at 3 a.m. with what looked like Confederate Commander General Roswell Ripley, but it wasn't. Later, it was found that the commander had not been with the Planter. No one had any idea what had happened. The Planter was a very valuable ship to the Confederacy. It had a cannon gun that could pivot and fire from any direction, other guns, and a large supply of ammunition. When the commander realized that no one knew why the ship was missing, he became furious and ordered a search for the ship. In the meantime, though, the Planter was reaching the Union. They were getting closer to the Union and safety. Back up. When Union forces recognized the Confederacy ship drifting into their territory, they made preparations to fire on the ship because they didn't know that Robert Smalls had took the ship. But through the fog, a sailor spotted a white sheet waving in the wind. Fire was withheld. As the Planter guided closer, they spotted a Black man wearing the hat and jacket of a Confederate ship captain. "Good morning, sir," Robert Smalls said. "I have brought you some of the old United States guns." On the Planter's deck was Robert Smalls and 7 other Black men. From down below inside the ship came 8 more slaves, 5 women, 2 children, and a baby. In addition to gaining freedom for himself, his family, and his friends, Smalls had delivered a valuable ship to the Union. Because it had that cannon gun and all that ammunition and stuff. He also brought valuable information because he was guiding the ship when they was on it. So he was gathering information. He knew where torpedoes and traps had been placed in the rivers and the creeks. In the ship's cabin was a book containing the secret meanings of the Confederate flags and signals. When the New York Times got the news, they called it one of the most heroic acts of the Civil War. After this daring act, Smalls piloted the planner for the Union during the Civil War. He sure did. My brother. When the Civil War was over, Smalls settled in Beaufort where he grew up. In fact, Smalls purchased his former master's house and the slave living quarters where Smalls was born. In later years, Smalls learned to read and write. He became a political leader in South Carolina. From 1868 to 1875, he served in the South Carolina legislature and in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1875 to 1879. In 1879, a special statute provided Smalls with a pension, a special law. In 1900, the United States Congress recorded a statute providing a reward for Robert Smalls, the hero. The statute read, Robert Smalls, on the 13th day of May, 1862, did capture the steamer Planter with all of the armament and ammunition for Fort Ripley at the city of Charleston, taking her out and turning her over to the Federal Blockading Squadron off Charleston. The Federal Blockading Squadron off Charleston. In 1890, Republican President Benjamin Harrison appointed Smalls collector of the port of Beaufort. Smalls held that post until 1913. Robert Smalls died in 1915. In 15 years, the state government placed a marker relating the act at a churchyard in Beaufort where Smalls was buried. Robert Smalls. Wonderful. If we only knew. A book and a comb. This here's a read aloud story. Adapted from the Allen Allensworth, Man of Ambition by Ruth Pittman. Allen Allensworth was a small boy living with his mother in Louisville, Kentucky, when it was discovered that his master's young son was teaching Allen to read. Rules were harsh for slaves who learned to read. Any slave who was caught learning to read or write was punished. Usually, this meant being sold away from your whole family. When Allen was 11 years old, it was discovered that he could read. Allen was taken from his mother and sold to a tobacco plantation owner, far away from his mama in Louisville. As he said goodbye to his mother, she pressed a silver $50 into his hand. With tears in her eyes, she whispered, Allen, buy yourself a book and a comb. She told him to buy a comb to keep his hair neat and a book to continue his reading. As soon as he arrived at his new mistress's home, she took away his comb. She said that it was too nice for a slave. But Allen hid his Webster's spelling book before she could take it and use it every spare moment he could to keep up his reading. After a year of hard work and harsh treatment, Allen ran away. Twice he tried to escape, and twice he was returned to his mistress. A slave who continued to try to escape was only considered a troublemaker and was often sold away. This was the fate of Allen Allensworth. This time he was sold to a racehorse owner in New Orleans, Louisiana, where he was trained to be a jockey to ride racehorses. In 1861, when Allen was 19 years old, his master sent him back to Louisville, Kentucky at the Oakland Race Course. Because of the upcoming Civil War, the race was not held as planned. Instead, Allen and other black jockeys were sent to a farm to work. Ooh, did he use them horses? The overseer of the farm was cruel, and the work was hard. But Allen was a good worker. He was soon sent to an estate near Louisville to work as a house servant. Soon after his arrival at the state, the Civil War began. Union troops surrounded the estate where Allen worked. One day, one of the Union officers asked Allen to come with him to be a nurse helper for the hospital corporation of the Union Army. He was served with the 44th Infantry Volunteer Division from Illinois. At last, Allen was free. Slaves who signed up to serve in the Union Army were granted their freedom. When the war ended, Allen got a job in a naval supply yard in St. Louis, Missouri. He saved his money and opened up 2 restaurants in partnership with his brother. He soon sold his interest in the restaurant and returned to Louisville. At the age of 25, Allen attended school and worked as a janitor. He did so well in his studies that the Freedmen's Bureau hired him to teach in a small school. The Freedmen's Bureau was established by Congress to help restore the South after the Civil War. In 1871, Allen was ordained a minister to preach the gospel. To prepare himself as a minister, Allen attended the Baptist Theological Institute. Now it's the Roger Williams University. Years later, he was awarded the Honorary Master of Arts degree from this institution. In 1880 and 1884, Allen became the only Black delegate to the Republican National Convention. In 1882, white chaplains, ministers, served all of the Black Army units. Allen thought that Black soldiers should be served by a Black chaplain. He knew that his religious training qualified him for the job. In 1886, when a vacancy occurred, Allen wrote a letter to the president, Grover Cleveland, asking that he be considered for the job. In April of that year, the president assigned Allen as chaplain of the 24th Infantry. The 24th Infantry. His 20-year job as chaplain took him to New Mexico, Utah, Montana, and California. During these 20 years, he taught his troops vocational skills, such as printing, baking, and telegraphy. Telegraphy. Teleggraphy. Telegraphy. He also taught classes in grammar and history. And he probably taught some of them to read too if they didn't know how. When his infantry, because a lot of Black men found themselves, later on in life, even with all their accomplishments, but they couldn't read. When his infantry fought in the Philippines, Allen started a school where teaching skills that Black soldiers needed to make them better soldiers. When his infantry fought in the Philippines, Allen started a school there, teaching skills that Black soldiers needed to make them better soldiers. When he retired in 1906, Allen had advanced to the rank of lieutenant colonel. He then returned his attention to fulfill a dream that he always had. He wanted to build a community of Black citizens where he and other Blacks could live and work without racial prejudice. Together with 4 other friends, Allen formed the California Colony and Home Promotion Association. Let's see what happened to that. They bought 20 acres in the fertile San Joaquin Valley. That's Joaquin. San Joaquin Valley. There he founded the small town and community of Allensworth, California. Then problems arose. The water company refused to supply ample water for the town, which had now expanded to 80 acres. The water company had gone back on its promise to supply the growing town with water. They reneged. The town reneged on them. Before the problem was solved, Allen was killed in a motorcycle accident in 1914. He didn't live to see his dream come true. But today he has not been forgotten. for his town is being reconstructed. The town of Allensworth, California now stands as a tribute to a man who believed in God, one who believed in others, and one who believed in himself. He had the courage and determination to use a book and a comb to propel himself to freedom, education, and dignity. Oh, look at these songs right here, y'all. Battle hymns and camp songs. Ooh. Well, I'm kind of hoarse. We probably want to save that till I can at least attempt to sing it, where it ain't gonna hurt you. Yeah, so let's just highlight it. Yeah, I think that fog, it's clear out there today, but honey, Sunday it was so much fog, and when I came out of work that night, it was still real foggy out there and stuff. So I don't know, but I keep my windows closed now. The Battle of the Crater. In June 1864, Ulysses S. Grant, a Union general, began a 10-month siege of the city of Petersburg, Virginia. The Confederate General Robert E. Lee was defending the city. A group of miners suggested a plan of attack to take the city. They suggested that a tunnel could be dug under the Confederate battle line. So just dig a tunnel under the Confederate battle line. Gunpowder would be placed in the tunnel and lit with a long fuse. The explosion would blow a large hole in the Confederate defenses, and it'll surprise them. Then the Union soldiers could attack. The suggestion was taken, and plans began immediately for digging the tunnel. One of the two African-American divisions serving with General Grant was to lead the attack. The 4th Division, led by the white officer Brigadier General Edward Ferrero, was selected to lead the attack. The 4th Division was selected because those soldiers were rested. They had rested. The other soldiers was too tired. They was too worn out. And, they had depleted their energy, I suppose. While the tunnel was being dug, though, the black soldiers practiced and prepared for the attack. After 3 weeks, the tunnel was finished. It stretched 511 feet from the Union lines to the Confederate line. 2 additional tunnels, 38 feet each, were dug on each side of the main tunnel. 8 small tunnels extended from the side tunnels like that. Yeah. I ought to use that board over there and try to do it, but it probably won't even look right. Yeah, let me try it. So we can see how they built this tunnel here. All right, let's see if we can do it. How they built this tunnel. Because it was a brilliant strategy. Ooh-wee. It was a brilliant strategy. We're going to see if it worked it though. So, and this was a pretty long tunnel. It stretched 511 feet. It's going to be a miniature one. From the Union line to the Confederate line. So this right here is we'll put the Confederate up here, the Union up here, and we'll put the Confederate right here. We got to use the children's marker because it's erasable. Okay, so that's the Union, and this right here is the Confederate. They're going to dig the tunnel. It stretched from them to them. They added 2 additional tunnels, 38 feet each, were dug on each side of the main tunnel. This is the main tunnel right here. And then they dug 2 more tunnels, 38 feet. So we'll put them down a little bit, a little space, okay? on each side of the main tunnel. 8 small tunnels extended from the side tunnels. So we'll say 8 small tunnels. So I don't know if they went from the side tunnels. This is the side tunnels. I'm not down there. Right here. This the side tunnels. That's the main tunnel. And these right here, the side tunnels. So they dug some little side tunnels like that right there. They were filled with 4 tons of gunpowder. So they filled all these tunnels with gunpowder. Well, I think that's how it looked. Yep, I think that's how it looked. July the 30th, 1864 had been set as the date to set off the explosion. But at the last minute, a big change was made. Instead of using the already trained black troops that knew, plans were made to use white troops instead. I always gotta see white folks, white America always had to wait and watch out so they could get in there and say, oh, we contributed this. We did this. They always had to be the ones. So they replaced the troops that were there initially with some white troops. When the fuse was ignited, the gunpowder-filled tunnels exploded, leaving a great crater, a big hole in the earth. It measured 30 feet deep and 60 feet wide. The white troops moved in, but because they were not trained, they were unable to break through the Confederate line. Finally, black troops were sent in, but it was too late. The Confederate troops drove the black troops back. The 43rd United States Colored Troops captured the Confederate flags. It was all in vain because at 10 a.m., General Grant ordered a retreat on all Union soldiers. The Battle of the Crater had failed. General Grant explained why the black troops were not put up front. It would have been said that they were shoving black troops to be killed because no one cared about their lives. General Grant admitted that it was a mistake not to use the already trained black troops. He stated that if he had used the original plan to have the black troops move in first, that the Battle of the Crater would have been a success. Because they knew what to do, what they were doing. They knew the plan, the layout. They knew the attack. Oh, what's this right here? Constitutional amendments. Oh, they made amendments to the Constitution? Do we need to go back and read the Constitution again? Y'all remember when we read that? Well, this right here is talking about amendments. Let's see. When the Civil War had ended, there were many problems to be solved. One of the problems was that of ex-slaves. Should they be granted the rights that other United States citizens had? This problem was solved when Congress passed 3 amendments to the Constitution. Let's check them out. The first of these was the 13th Amendment. It was passed in 1865. The 13th Amendment freed all slaves. It said that slavery shall not exist within the United States of America. 3 years later, and I think it said unless incarcerated. 3 years later, Congress passed the 14th Amendment. Don't quote me on that because it might be something else. 3 years later, Congress passed the 14th Amendment. It made blacks United States citizens. It gave all persons equal protection under the law. It said that the states could not take away a citizen's right to life, liberty, or property without due process. And this right here was in 1865 when these amendments was made. This was before the redlining, the black codes, the Jim Crow laws and stuff like that. So really they all was creating crimes against this law right here from then. Why the states didn't acknowledge that, we know why. In 1870, Congress passed another amendment. The 15th Amendment gave blacks the right to vote. And this was in 1870. It said a citizen's right to vote shall not be denied due to race, color, or previous servitude. But even though that law was passed and stuff, white folks really made it so hard. That's what Fannie Lou Hamer was talking about. That's when she woke up and got up and joined the fight over voting. One of our favorite movies to watch is Jane Pittman. Praises for a grave digger. Perhaps you are wondering why a person who did graves would be praised for the job that he does. Here's an account of a grave digger who won the praises of many. In 1861, Elmira Camp in New York was used as a training camp for Union troops. In 1864, it was used to hold Confederate prisoners of war. Sometimes as many as 12,000 prisoners was crowded together in the camp. Very often, these prisoners died of diseases and injuries sustained during the war. They were buried in Woodlawn City Cemetery and 2 additional lots added by the city. They were donated by the city. John Jones, a runaway slave from Virginia, served as the caretaker. Instead of just doing his job of burying each body, he went a step further. He faithfully kept a record of the name, regiment, death date, and grave number of every Confederate soldier that he buried. In 1875, wooden markers was placed at every grave site. These were later replaced by tombstones. In addition to the individual graves, a special marker was placed for 49 prisoners and 17 Union guards who were killed in a train wreck. According to Jones's records, most of the dead soldiers came from North and South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Virginia, and Tennessee. Many people praised John Jones, the escaped slave, who kept the records of approximately 2,950 Confederates who died as prisoners of war in the Elmira prison camp in New York. The Reconstruction Era. The Civil War ended on April the 9th, 1865, and so did 250 years of slavery for African Americans. The Civil War ended on April 9, 1865, and so did 250 years of slavery for African Americans. Hundreds of blacks had escaped to freedom. Many had been freed by joining the Union Army, but all were freed when Congress passed the 13th Amendment. It forbade slavery in all states and territories of the United States. When the 13th Amendment was passed, over 3,953,000 slaves became free forevermore. It would seem that African Americans now free of slavery would have an easy life. But this was not the case. Sure, they were free to do what they wanted to do and free to go where they wanted to go, but many had no place to go. Some freedmen, as they were now called, wandered about from place to place. Others were trying to find family members who were sold away from them during the slavery. Still others were trying to find work to support their families. Finding work was very difficult. Many who looked for jobs found that whites who had the money to pay them refused to even hire them. With no money, no land, and no place to live, what were they to do? Little had been done to prepare black ex-slaves for freedom. They needed someone or something to help them find jobs, a place to stay, and a plan to get an education. Various religious and charitable organizations played important roles in helping the ex-slaves get adjusted to their new lives. Just when it seemed that all hopes of starting a new life were gone, help came. The Congress of the United States set up an organization called the Freedmen's Bureau. Now the ex-slaves could have help in getting work, wages, a place to stay, and most importantly, an education. See, Black people just didn't want to be free, just to be free. They wanted to be free because that's their right. It was never ordained by cosmic energy that they should remain enslaved forever and ever and ever. That evilness that descended upon our ancestors, our people, melanated people, the Freedmen's Bureau. After the Civil War, many of the South cities lay in ruins. Fields, crops, homes, and nearly everything else had been destroyed. Many people, both Black and white, were wounded, they was homeless, and they was hungry. Just as the war ended, a bill was passed in Congress to establish the Freedmen's Bureau. The Freedmen's Bureau was to supply food, medicine, and clothing to the needy. Many Northerners came south to help the Bureau. The Bureau helped to find jobs for ex-slaves, and it set up schools to give Blacks the opportunities to learn to read and write. Many whites was helped by the Bureau too. The Freedmen's Bureau built and operated 4,300 schools with 9,000 teachers. Over 250,000 Black people were educated through its day schools, night schools, and the job training schools. Many of today's Black colleges and universities were founded during the Reconstruction era. Talladega College, Talladega, Talladega College in Alabama, Tougaloo College in Mississippi, that's Tougalloo, Howard University in Washington, D.C., Clark College and Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, were set up as special schools to educate Black teachers. Shaw University and St. Augustine's College, both are located in Raleigh, North Carolina. Both were also founded as schools for freedmen during Reconstruction. Today, these colleges and universities have all become great institutions, offering learning opportunities for all races of people. Wow. Look at this. We're going to read this poem right here. Learning to read. See, after the Civil War, the Freedmen's Bureau organized schools in order that Black ex-slaves could learn to read and write. Because see, even though white people could read and write, Black people wasn't able to learn to read and write. So after the war and stuff, it was like they were able to learn to read and write. This poem, Learning to Read, was written by a Black poet, and his name was Francis E.W. Harper. That was my granddaddy last name, Harper. Yep. It tells how anxious the freedmen were to learn to read and write. They was anxious. The poem was taken from her book titled Sketches of Southern Life, published in 1872, 100 years before I was born. Very soon, the Yankee teachers came down and set up schools. But oh, how the Rebs did hate it. It was again her rules. It was again their rules. Our masters always tried to hide book learning from our eyes. Knowledge didn't agree with slavery. 'Twould make us all too wise. But some of us would try to steal a little from a book and put the words together and learn by hook or crook. I remember Uncle Caldwell, who took pot liquor fat and greased the pages of his book and hid it in his hat. And had his master ever seen the leaves upon his head, he'd have thought them greasy papers, but nothing to be read. And there was Mr. Turner's Ben, who heard the children spell and picked the words right up by heart and learned to read them well. Well, the northern folk kept sending the Yankee teachers down, and they stood right up and helped us, though the rebels did sneer and frown. And that was by Francis E.W. Harper. And that poem was published, Learning to Read. It was published in 1872. Ooh. The Military Reconstruction Act. I just want to go back to it and tell y'all what I was thinking of when the part where he greased his papers and put them under his hat, so that if the master ever did see him, he wouldn't think it was nothing to be read. You know, he just like, oh, it's just a nigger putting leaves in his hat, you know. But yeah, that's how he kept his papers with him. And the one Ben, who would hear the children spelling out loud, and he would remember. And that's how he taught himself to read. He learned them really well like that. Because you know how even when we were kids, we had the same songs, like Oh Mary Mac, or, you know, just the little hand songs that we used to sing and stuff. Well, when they would sing their little songs like that and stuff, he would use them. He would memorize them too and use them for his learning and stuff. We were very creative. Black people were very creative. We thought for ourselves. And we must do that again. We got to start thinking for ourselves again. Who could come up with brilliant, creative, you know, non-threatening solutions and resolutions, you know? Why ignore us? For who? Tell me one other people that's out there with all of this prosperity, abundance, resilience, loyalty. The Military Reconstruction Act. After the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln, Vice President Andrew Johnson was sworn into office. It was April 1865. Andrew Johnson, a Southerner from the state of Tennessee, was anxious to restore the Confederate States to the Union, but Congress was not so eager to do so. Because, see, the Confederate States didn't want to join the Union when we read about it in the other chapters, because they didn't want to have no regulation on slavery. That's why Abraham Lincoln, the abolitionists, told him, free the slaves, and they'll come and join so we can win this war. So now, after all of this right here, and then they done killed Abraham Lincoln, now Andrew Johnson wants to add them slave states back to the Union. But the Congress was just not willing. You know, they just wasn't really eager. And yeah, I guess, you know, that's how I feel. But reading is fundamental. And yeah, we finna learn to read and fund together. Yeah. The Congress felt that these rebellious states should pay for their disloyalty. As President Andrew Johnson quickly granted home rule to some of these states, this meant that each state could rule themselves as they saw fit. 7 months after taking office, he announced, to the surprise of the Congress, that he had decided to restore all of the Confederate states. This action was angrily opposed by the Congress. In December 1865, senators and representatives from the states that President Johnson had restored came to take their seats in Congress. Congress refused to seat them. Most of these Southerners were officers of the Confederate Army and ex-Confederacy cabinet members and Congress, and ex-Confederacy Congress and cabinet members. And they didn't want their ass sitting on there now. As you done rebelled and destroyed and killed and destroyed and just have it. So, but he reinstated them anyway. A committee of both House and Senate members was set up to investigate and report on conditions in the former Confederate states. Before I go any further, I want to say, we're going to see, did they remain part? I guess they remain part of the Union. Is that how all this damn infiltration and it seemed like the whole perpetration of racism and white supremacy is still amok? Hell, they should have kicked all their asses out. Said, hell no, you can't come back. Stay over there where your ass is at. Because clearly, tolerating them and over time accepting them, just led to the infiltrations against Black America. Let's read it again. A committee of both House and Senate members was set up to investigate and report on conditions in the former Confederate states. In June 1865, the committee made its report. It reported that the Confederate states were still too rebellious to return to the Union. The committee recommended that a constitutional amendment was needed to protect the rights of freedmen, the ex-slaves. In June 1866, Congress passed the 14th Amendment. This amendment made African Americans United States citizens. Another section of the amendment permitted Congress to reduce the representatives of any state that would not permit blacks to vote. President Johnson's home state of Tennessee was the first Confederate state to ratify the 14th Amendment. But he urged the other 10 Confederate states not to accept this amendment. This congressional election in November 1866 gave the control of the House to Congress. So President Johnson, he did it, but he urged the other Confederate states not to do it. Tennessee. President Johnson, the home state of Tennessee, his home state of Tennessee. So Tennessee was the first one to allow it, but they told the other states don't do it. Hold out. They motherfucking asses. Oh, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll take one for the team. Just don't nobody else do. Yeah, that's what Tennessee said, how Tennessee felt. And obviously that's how Tennessee still feels. The Congress then began to deal harshly with the southern ex-Confederate states. On March the 2nd, 1867, Congress passed the first of the Military Reconstruction Acts. These acts went into effect at the end of the summer of 1867. These acts required the government officials in the ex-Confederate states that were set up under Andrew Johnson to be removed from office. Under the state laws, blacks could not vote, and they did not protect blacks from being cheated, beaten, and murdered. The Military Reconstruction Acts were aimed at the 10 Confederate states still out of the Union. The Military Reconstruction Acts were aimed at the 10 Confederate states still out of the Union. Because remember, Tennessee had told the other states to just hold off. Don't join. So Each of the 10 states would not be restored to the Union until it completed three requirements. Draw up a new state constitution, elect new state officials under the new constitution, and ratify or pass the 14th Amendment, which made Black people United States citizens. Sincerely. 3 sincere requirements. For all the love. Under the Military Reconstruction Act, the 10 Confederate states were divided into 5 military districts. Each district was headed by a Union general and 4,000 soldiers to help enforce the law. It was to make sure that men, especially Black men, would have the right to vote. By June 1868, 6 of the 10 states followed the Military Reconstruction Act and returned to the Union. By July 1870, the remaining 4 states had returned. As a result of the Military Reconstruction Act, 700,000 Blacks and 660,000 whites registered and voted in the initial elections of 1867 and 1868. Oh, that was wonderful. We are making strides, my family. And I have to run out and take care of some things, but we will be back possibly later this afternoon so we can read some more. No, we're going to keep this at 12 noon. We'll see you every day, 12 noon, for our African inventors, scientists, our heroes, and our sheroes who loved us first, and we loved them. Yes. Peace and power to the people. Love your people. Remember your people. Talk to your ancestors.